to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're firmly, not even moving into, but you're firmly established in your own truth, in your own narrative, because that is what is required in the seasons and times that are literally up ahead, starting 2022, beloveds. We've been seeing the global mandates being rolled out across the world. Europe is where they've really, tried to go down the hardest, and they've been massive rallies. You guys should definitely check out, different channels that kind of show. There's one called GB Resistance, of course, Ruptly and all those. Russia Today, they love showing that stuff. But there have been massive rallies across Europe. Italy has literally come to a standstill. And mainstream media isn't really fully sharing this because, of course, it's all about who controls the narrative. But there's been a lot of resistance. And we haven't seen as much resistance here in Africa because, they haven't come down so hard here. Yet, I should say, but things are getting a bit economically tricky, beloveds. Like in my little village, they've now stopped delivering brown bread because it went up by 10 shillings. 10 shillings is like 10 cents. And that pushed it out of the budget of like an entire village, beloveds. And they literally angrily chased away the bread truck, no joke. I mean, it's good for people to now start baking their own bread, but they won't see it like that. They'll see something else is now out of their reach. I've been doing some construction, and it's like all of a sudden, the price of cement went up by 100 shillings, which is a lot of money. It's $1, but it's still a lot of money, beloveds, for many of us, And instead of telling the people that, they came with a substandard product and sold it at the same price. So many people just won't even be aware that it's changed. But when, my builders were telling me that one is like one that cracks, it's not as good because it's got so many impurities in it. And if I use it, because, some of it was delivered, and he was like, madam, don't buy that one, because it's like a cheaper grade, but I didn't even know all that. So it's just like the government, at least here in Kenya, because we're going into an election next year, they're trying to buffer everything and keep everything okay. Okay, now we've gone back to curfew because they say the numbers are going up. So I think it's from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. So they're still not squeezing down on the people. But where they are, beloveds, well, some of these mandates already happened across, the continent, and not much was said, but there's been a lot of drama from the French-controlled Caribbean islands, where there have been massive riots in both Guadalupe and Martinique. And what basically happened is France came with the mandates where they were saying, doctors and nurses have to take the double Big Mac. Just what's happening. I mean, it's just copy-paste. We're in the one world government, literally. And so these two Caribbean islands have been hit by serious unrest. And shout out to my brother, Rodniel. I don't know if I pronounce your name, Rodniel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Ras Rodniel, I should say, for sharing this story with me, because I actually had not heard it. But basically what they're saying is that, the implementation of the New World Order agenda has not gone down as smoothly in Martinique or Guadeloupe. Different protests actually began last week in Guadeloupe, and there was, where there's historic mistrust of government's handling of health crisis after many people were systematically exposed to toxic pesticides used in banana plantations, which later led to many health complications, cancer, etc., etc. etc. Same as Martinique, where the people were saying that, they literally feel like they're going back to slave days, with the French government now trying to impose what they have on mainland France. So France has actually cooled down, and they've actually suspended the mandates for now, and said that they are going to pursue the road of dialogue. So I think some staff had also been suspended. They've been told to come back to work, etc., etc. So I guess when people get together and say enough is enough, the government does listen, or has to listen. Not that they want to. But it's interesting that these two islands, which are majority melanated people, beloveds, people that look like you and me, it's quite shocking that they're still under the French government after so long. And you'll see, maybe that's even why France kind of, backed down, because this could maybe even trigger an independence move. Anyway, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. I'm reporting live and direct from the foothills of Mount Zion, here to announce that France has actually cancelled their rollout of the New World Order agenda in Martinique and Guadalupe after riots literally broke out. The French Health Ministry said in a statement after a crisis government meeting that it had decided to postpone till the end of the year the implementation of the New World Order, or the beginning of the implementations, and it would no longer demand that health workers take the double Big Mac. Sorry, beloveds, I'm just like out of breath. I had to go get a delivery. Anyway, so some on the island called the mandate a throwback to France's slavery era, insisting that they should be allowed to make their own choices about health treatment. The French government actually, a meeting came as the riots in Martinique were still ongoing. They literally didn't stop. And what we see now, so they've said, okay, we've seen you guys are a little angry, so we'll wait till December 31st. I think now, beloveds, we're in one global government. So whatever the government in Kenya says is going to be identical to what the government in Europe says, to what the government in Asia says. They're all the same. All of them have to. I mean, now the New World government is here. The One World government is here, even if they're not telling us it's here, and we're still going through the charades of, elections, etc., etc. So what they're going to try and do now is they're going to try and wear down our brothers and sisters in Martinique and Guadeloupe, and anyone who's kind of rebelling or rioting, which is what has surprised them with the massive demonstrations that have gone on in Italy and across Europe. Now they're trying to say that for anyone who's caught at the demonstrations, they'll be banned from future, demonstrations, etc., etc. So they're trying to get the ringleaders, etc., etc. But basically, it's now, this is the marathon I was talking about. It's like, who's going to blink first? The government feels like they have, they will continuously. So now they'll wait till after Christmas and try it again. And maybe they'll see that the people have actually, lost interest or lost steam. At least that's what they're hoping for. So to our brothers and sisters in Martinique and Guadeloupe, at least you're standing up. We didn't really even see our health worker. I know the government demanded that all their employees take it. I don't know what happened. Although in Africa, the fake one, the fake certificates are already floating around, which is why I think they're gonna make sure that they can literally scan your hand to make sure for sure that they've taken it. But anyway, let me not get into that, because this is just creating like a thriving black, new black market. Stories for other days. But may our brothers and sisters stand firm and stand strong in what they believe in. We're in some tricky times, beloveds. And it's time to really just endure till the end. Don't do what you don't have to do until you must do it. And even when you feel you must do it, call on the Most High and the Great Spirit to give you an alternative. It's literally every man's willpower for themselves, beloveds. That's what's going to determine where we end up. And this is like the grand exam of the end, literally. Until next time, tuko pamoja.